and 8 always comes in front of 9. So it was a natural phenomena of the way that the numbers fall in, because an adverb comes before a verb, an adverb comes in front of an adjective, the adjective comes before the pronoun, the position, the allodial, and the fact are always kept together as a 5, 6, 7, and the past always comes in front of the future. Now the past can be a word used as from, or any word ending in ed would represent a past. If you have when we went to school, they taught us that a sentence must be one thought. So we have a one venue or one condition of thought, which is the correct Parse Syntax Grammar. However, in the world of fraud, which means you're going to have going to the store from the house. Now we have 2 different time factors of from and to, which is now a lie, because now we have 2 conditions of time, and it's no longer a single thought sentence. So this generates, when you're into fraud, fiction, lies, perjury, false, guessing, presumption, assumption. These are the world of our court systems, attorneys, and lawyers. And this is what's been going on this planet for 8,500 years. Now on April 6, 1988, the mathematical interface on grammar was perfected by myself, and it was published. And 2 days after that, the United States Secret Service showed up at my door and said, "You realize what you've done? You've just disqualified every treaty, trust, and contract between 5,000 languages for 8,500 years. When the world learns of how this mathematical interface will correct the world, there will be a world reset on communication skills, banking, international contracts, trade agreements. And so it's going to impact the way the entire planet has to do business." Now, man has never gone to war over a math problem in the history of mankind. By bringing communication skills into a mathematical procedure where we have the value certified both frontwards and backwards in every single sentence that we write. Example, for the bridge is over the water. For the water is under the bridge. Over and under are opposite prepositions, and both sentences represent the same picture. Now if we drop the word for, which was a position, and we just say the water is under the bridge is over the water. The becomes an adverb, making bridge to be a verb. Is an adverb, making over to be a verb. The is an adverb, making water to be a verb. There's no such thing as a water, over, or bridge verb, because of the modification which is represented by an adverb. All positions and all allodials, or all prepositions and all articles, when used as independent words, become adverbs. And therefore they create modification, which is your change and your perjury, and will then destroy the contents of your contracts. Now the second position we're going to do here is with the instructions on how a sentence is created. Now a sentence goes through, we use a minimum of 7 positions. We use the preposition for to start every sentence in this program, because for is the strongest of the positions to start a sentence out with. We've looked at all 68 positions, and we've looked at all 38 articles. And we've reduced the program to the words a, and, the, this, these. Sometimes we use the word through, T-H-R-O-U-G-H, or T-H-R-U. But this is the lion's share of 99% of the prepositional, of the articles that are used in our grammar. Also the word an appears in front of any word that starts with a vowel. That's one of the exceptions to the rules. Now, when you're constructing a sentence, the rules and regulations of constructing a sentence are the same rules and regulations that even a fiction court must go through to establish an individual's ability to stand trial. So what we've done is we have perfected that all sentences that are used in every one of our documents, and we average about 60 to 100 different sentences, but each sentence qualifies under the rules of what a court has to establish in order to be a court. And the very first thing a court must establish is the word knowledge. Does the person have the knowledge to understand what is being said to them? If I was speaking to you in Japanese or Chinese or Russian, and you only understood English, we wouldn't be able to communicate with each other. So therefore, we wouldn't have a knowledge communication between us. It would require us bringing in an interpreter to stand in and do the translations. But what we're doing here is, the first thing that a court has to establish is your cause. What is the knowledge or educational limitations of all individuals in the courtroom? Once you have established that you have a knowledge, you then have a consequence, which would be of the. For the is your knowledge, of the is your consequence. And the consequence is going to be how many facts have you established through your knowledge. Once your knowledge is established as facts in your brain, it's like a computer. In order to bring any information out of your brain or out of a computer, you have to think. And thinking then becomes the verb of action. You have is as a singular and are as a plural. So the verb thinking now becomes these are the only two verbs in English languages, is and are. Running is not a verb. Jumping is not a verb. Driving is not a verb. Trespassing is not a verb. Parking is not a verb. You have to think before you can do these conditions of a fact. So when the sign says no parking, no is an adverb making parking into a verb. So they've lied, because you can never create the negative condition of any state. You can't create a negative condition of a fact. So by saying no parking, that's an oxymoron, and it's against the law. Now, when you say against the law, that's a prepositional phrase. Against means no contract. The is an adverb, against is a preposition. The is an adverb making law a fact. So if you're against the fact and you're using no contract or no trespassing, no is an adverb making trespassing a violation of the use of that as a condition of state. It should say, for the trespassing on this land is with the fee of the $5,000, or for the parking of the cars with the fee of the $500. These are performance contracts which are positive. If you have a positive performance contract, you then have the ability to say, I gave you a positive performance, you agreed to trespass, you agreed to perform, and therefore you have a duty through this performance contract. Now, after you establish your thinking capacity to move the fact backed up by the knowledge, you have to create a possessive. With is your position of a possessive. And the possessive is used, we use the word claim because gold miners filed claims. They didn't file mortgages. They didn't ask for permission. When they discovered gold, which starts with the word AU, they have an authority. And so they filed gold claims. Then they had to make a decision on to what the claim is. Is it a positive claim or a negative claim? Did they have a damage, which is negative, or did they have a equity, which is positive? The second part, now that you've established with as a possessive, you now have a contract term using of the. And now you're going to go ahead and take this possessive and you're going to put it into a contract term to define the plus or negative of that contract term. This sentence could be as small as seven words or 7 facts, or as large as a 200-word sentence, which I place in all my documents, just to show that when you're going through a mathematical procedure to get to the conclusion from the beginning of a fact, there is a path that you have to follow. Now, after you have a with of, you go back to another with, which is a possessive of the laws, rules, regulation, codes, duties. And then you have to assign the authorization of the word by. By is the position to give the authorization, the author, the authentic of who created this document, who wrote this sentence. And authorization always runs backwards.